We are going to speak to a California governor gubernatorial candidate, Elaine Culotti, who we spoke to before. She's a renowned entrepreneur. And the California debates got canceled, possibly because of her. We'll talk about that. And first, we'll have Eric Nissen in here. He's a citizen journalist based in Los Angeles. He has been exposing fraud. He has tons of video. He is working with Nick, I'm blanking Nick's name, that has been exposing so much fraud in this country. Nick, what is it?
Shirley,
yes. And then Dr. Charlie Powell comes in. He is a former naval lieutenant commander, war veteran, physician, and we're going to talk a little bit about, amongst other things, veteran healthcare right after this.
Our laws as it pertains to substances are draconian and bizarre. The psychopaths start this way. He was an alcoholic because of social media and pornography, PTSD, love addiction, fentanyl and heroin. Ridiculous. I'm a doctor, for sake. Where the hell do you think I learned that? I'm just saying. You go to treatment before you kill people. I am a clinician. I observe things about these chemicals. Let's just deal with what's real. We used to get these calls on Loveline all the time. Educate adolescents and to prevent and to treat. If you have trouble you can't stop and you want help stop it, I can help. I got a lot to say. I got a lot more to say.
All right, first up, let me address my skin. I look like a burn patient, and now I look like a leper. I had a special phototherapy for skin cancers. They did not warn me that I would be essentially disabled for a week, but here I am with you nonetheless.
You won't let me put makeup on.
You put makeup on.
Not on your forehead.
Not on my forehead. Maybe tomorrow we'll put some, but it's all...
it looks worse underneath that,
It's all just peeling so badly anyway. It's like wild. So apologies for the unpleasant appearance. Maybe Caleb can put some filters on there to make me more acceptable. Eric Nissen. Okay, you can follow Eric on Instagram. Eric with a C, William Nissen, Nissen. Also, Inner Rhythm Wave, and Inner is INNER, Inner Rhythm Wave on YouTube. Eric has been exposing fraud, and we thank him for that, and he's going to tell us what he has uncovered. Eric, welcome, and thank you for being here.
Thank you so much, Dr. Drew. Just like to say I've been a big fan of yours since my high school days, listening to Loveline. So I love everything you're doing with the homeless stuff, the mental illness, and everything you've been covering. But yeah, it's kind of a crazy story because I had a family member who was just in need of like physical therapy, and I have a friend who's a physical therapist, and I knew a little bit about home health, but I decided to look up some home health agencies and try to hire someone. And right near where I used to live in West LA, there was a funny little one called Hospice of Nation, which just kind of felt like not a real name when I first looked at it. So I kind of looked into it. There were no reviews. It didn't seem to be like a real business that had gotten any traction. And then I noticed it was in a business building that I used to live near. So I went and checked it out, and that's when, there was just a Ring camera on the door and nobody was there. And when I tried to talk to them, they kind of just pushed me away. So that made me kind of wonder what was going on. And when I tried to look for more, I actually found a company related to Hospice of Nation called Atlantic Care Hospice. So I saw the same guy owns the same thing in the Valley. So I went up there and I was going to go check that out. But when I got in there, I realized that there was about 40 to 50 more hospice and home health centers. And that's when Elon Musk retweeted my Wall Street Apes post of just uncovering a place that basically has, 40 to 50 of the same business running out of it. And none of them seemed to care about getting business either. That's what was interesting, is nobody really cared to take my info and try to get me signed up. They were just kind of like,
were there people there? Were there people behind the doors?
Well, so a few of them did have people working, just like kind of an assistant that's just kind of sitting there seemingly waiting for mail or just kind of on their phone. Mm-hmm. One of them had a couch with a TV. The guy was just watching movies. And then most of them, nobody was even there, which then when I looked into it, hospices are supposed to legally have a phone number 24/7. So I would call the phone numbers and they would just go right to voicemail. No one would ever get back to me. And then many of them started to seem like I was almost worried. Like I was like, can this even be real? Like this amount of fraud at this level? And so I looked into it, and lo and behold, it seems like that's what I kind of stumbled into.
So let's talk about the stumbling for a second. When you were looking for a physical therapist, you got interested in home health. Were you already, had you already heard of Nick Shirley stuff? Were you already thinking, I wonder if there's some of that fraud out there? This doesn't seem like a real thing.
Well, yeah, I had seen the Leering Center stuff in Minnesota a little bit, and the Hospice of Nation maybe hit my mind, like kind of a funny name like that. I was like, that's just kind of a silly name to call something. So there was that, but I didn't really know much about him until my cousin called when I was on Elon Musk's page and my video kind of blew up. My cousin called me and was like, dude, like people are saying you're the next Nick Shirley and all this stuff. And that's when I had to kind of look into it and find out more about what was really going on with all that. And yeah, I mean, it started to seem really similar because I basically looked up some of the same people who own these home and health agencies, and some of them actually own daycare centers, and some of them own transportation companies, medical supply companies, consulting companies, and all of it seems to be intertwined, not only with those industries, but also we're finding Hollywood, things in Hollywood, like vehicles, LLCs for movie vehicles to move money and pay out directors, writers, and producers. So we found some stuff in New York and New Jersey, and we're going to be out there doing some more stories. And yeah, the ties don't end. There's Staten Island, there's Seattle, Washington, all sorts of other states are also involved in this, it seems.
So, of course, you're a racist, right? Because much like Dr. Oz and Nick Shirley, he targeted Armenians. That's what he was doing. That was his plan. What group did you target?
Well, yeah. So Nick Shirley reached out to me in mid-January when my videos were blowing up, and he said, let's work. So I sent him a bunch of pages of non-compliant hospice centers, that get flagged. These are delinquent amendments on the business profile that are getting flagged. And it seems like they can just sort of change their name slightly or change the address that it's registered at, or just have a quick little edit in the system, and they get plugged right back in as an active company. So I just sent him a bunch of that stuff, and that's where this video, that's where I think he went to, because the first few pages were all A's, and I saw there was a lot of angel ones on there. So I think those are the ones that he found, but I'm sure he also did a lot of great work on his own. And, I do support him and everything he's doing, and I would love to work with him. But yeah, it's not about targeting individual, classes of people or races or ethnicities. It just so happens that a lot of the names on there may be from the Caucasus regions, the lesser Caucasus and the greater Caucasus regions. But yeah, I can't speak much to that.
What are the politicians doing with this? Is anybody getting behind you and getting, like the sheriff from Riverside, is he interested in helping you out? Or are there people getting in your way, like Attorney General Bonta, who gets in the way of everything like this? What are you finding?
Yeah, it seems that Rob Bonta doesn't really seem to care. Jenny LaRue with Steve Hilton have reached out to me, and my team has been talking with them and seeing what they're doing with this CalDoge stuff. So that was the only thing that we've really heard from people reaching out is the CalDoge people. And I'm interested to see what they, are going to do with all this. But no, Adam Schiff was in charge of the congressional district where most of this is going on for 24 years. And he was a big proponent of getting certain aid for the Nagorno-Karabakh region, which was, Azerbaijan and conflicts with Armenia and things like that. So he was a big proponent of a lot of initiatives to gain funding for the Armenian community in their country. But during those years, it was funny because I started reading that a lot of the military and high up people in that country as well were just taking money and not necessarily using it in the best way for the Armenian people. So even if it's about, helping a certain group of people in a conflict, we're not even sure that money's even getting to those people either. So even our financial.
What are your personal thoughts about all this? What do you walk away thinking? Is it just our money is being squandered? It's outrageous. You're angry. What do you personally see? And then once you've told me that, talk to me about homelessness, where it's even more egregious.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, what I've seen in California growing up here, ever since I was a kid is they pass a lot of initiatives with a lot of money behind it, and they promise to do something. And as soon as you let that vote go through, they don't start doing anything, but they allow the door to be open to continue funding that exact type of program. And the media could be complicit, and certain entities could be complicit in making it seem like that money is going to so much good and changing so many things. So let's give them more money, and that's when it seems to never stop this never-ending cycle of basically taxing us more, putting fees on top of things more, making little irregulated payments all the time that the taxpayer is basically burdened with, and then siphoning them into these programs where tens of millions of dollars are going to individuals or entities that are supposed to be, performing something because there's supposed to be a contract written out, and they refuse to perform those things, or they do very little of it. And that's where I started finding the homeless housing as well all around Los Angeles. Many of them are just old, dilapidated motels that haven't been even converted or even started to be renovated, but they've received $20 to $30 million from Project Homekey.
Right, of course. So you're not angry. You sound very even, sort of emotionally about that. I'm mortified. I'm beside myself. I want to just...
Right. Well, the state, absolutely. The state, it's filing season for taxes, and the state wants me to pay a couple grand in taxes because of the money I've made. And I'm sorry, but, until all this is figured out, I'm definitely not paying that. And it's actually illegal, and they're violating my rights and all the Californian citizens' rights by not allowing us due process, by stealing this money and not allowing us to have any recourse, and not performing the contracts of what this tax money was supposed to be used for. So technically, in the eyes of the law, they're breaking the law and they're violating our rights. So that's where we're coming from.
Is somebody going to take that to court? Is somebody taking that to court?
Absolutely. Well, yeah,
Okay,
I've written a few drafts and summons of complaints to submit. Governor Gavin Newsom is definitely a person of interest. Adam Schiff, Ted Lieu, Maxine Waters, Karen Bass, pretty much anyone besides
Gates?
Kevin. Yeah, I have reached out to Michael Gates. I do, yeah. And I have reached out to him.
I will. Did he respond?
No, but Cal Doge and all of them, they're super inundated with all this stuff, and there's so much going on.
Hey, do me a favor. Send it to me through our booker, Emily Barsh, and I will get it to Michael Gates. He's a very talented litigator. I would think he would jump all over this.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, doctor.
Okay, you got it. Well, I don't know. You're uncovering terrible things, and the people are dying in our streets because of it. Literally, it's negligent manslaughter on one level, and it's just massive negligence and fraud on the other. It is unbelievable that we live in a state that is allowed to manage its money like this, our money like this, and continue on. It is disgusting at a level that I don't understand why the voters aren't rising up.
I mean, it's unprecedented, the amount of money that I've found. And honestly, it keeps surprising me every time I stumble onto more and more things. So it's been hard to even organize all this information and organize all these places, because I can just drive anywhere in the state and find this stuff essentially. So yeah, I mean, Karen Bass has a duty to exercise reasonable care and care for these homeless people on the streets. And by not doing that, she's actually, she's grossly negligent, and she is performing a dereliction of her own duty.
Understand,
yes.
Doctors and nurses are not allowed to get near these people. This is an open air hospital without doctors and nurses, run by social workers and volunteers. These are as sick as brains get. You can't get sicker than being so drugged out you don't know what's happening to you, or so severely mentally ill you can't manage your housing and your food and your daily living needs. That is, those are people that need hospitalization. They need medical care. They need nursing care. And that is not even close to being delivered. In fact, quite the opposite. We are prevented from doing the care that these people need. You saw we had a little piece before we went in here. There was that. Go ahead.
No, go for it. I did watch that. Yeah,
we ran a little tape before we came in. It was a guy that tried to help a child star that was strung out on meth, and he kept running away from treatment because you're not allowed to keep people in treatment until they're clear, so they can start to think again.
Right.
And so you're not allowed to. There's no gravely disabled. There's only I'm going to hurt. I'm going to kill myself. I'm going to kill somebody else. That's it. You don't do that. Sorry, you can go back. You know where to you can panhandle on the 5 freeway. Fine. Goodbye. That's it.
Right.
It is beyond, it's inhuman at a level that is, if you told me we were going to do this with psych patients 40 years ago, I would have laughed at you, but here we are. All right, Eric, where do you want people to find you?
Yeah. Well, Inner Rhythm Media on YouTube and TikTok, Inner Rhythm Wave on X because 15 letters wasn't allowed, and then Eric William Nissen on Instagram. But yeah, I agree. It's absolutely egregious and it's criminal. And, it seems like it's being perpetuated on purpose to keep these funds flowing. So we're going to keep looking into it. And I know you as the LA HSA, service authority, you were going to be put on and they didn't really like what you had to say. So that makes it even more, suspect that they would fire one of the best people who had the best advice to give.
I was there. I was appointed and then I was appointed, and then they stonewalled and all this stuff and had a shit fit about it. But they have no clinicians taking care. Yeah. There's no clinicians on these panels. There's nobody with any training who understands what this even is, let alone what to do about it. So it's beyond. Right. It is beyond. So anyway, keep up the great work. Let us know how we can support you. You send me that whatever the legal document is or the thing, and I'll get it. You get it to Emily. She'll get it to me. I'll get it to Michael. Okay?
All right. Will do. Thank you so much, Dr. Drew.
All right. Thank you. You got it. And remember, Michael Gates is running for Attorney General. Get behind him. His behavior is just, if you saw the Riverside sheriff found 45,000 ballots that shouldn't have been in his district. He wanted to count them. The Attorney General of California is preventing him from counting them to see if he has more ballots than he's supposed to have. Forget whose they are, where they came from. He just wants to document that there's something wrong with the ballot count. No, that's against. We're going to put an injunction against you. You can't do that. This guy needs to go. All right. Now, speaking of needing to go, Newsom needs to go. And who will we replace him with? Elaine Culotti is running for governor. She is NPP. She has no party preference. So she is in that what I call the radical middle, which is a place I prefer to stay. Elaine, you know her from the television show, it was called, Discovery Plus reality series, Undercover Billionaire, that's what it's called. And you can follow Elaine on X at Lipstick Farmer. Back with Elaine right after this. I've spent most of my career dealing with illnesses that shorten life, and now we have ways to extend it and extend wellness. I've been working with the team over at V-Shred to develop a product that has everything I want in a longevity supplement. NR Boost has nicotinamide riboside. You know how metal can rust? Well, your body behaves in a similar way. It's mediated through something called NAD. NAD falls as we age, so we're less able to fight off that oxidative process. We oxidize much like that metal. And NAD fights it, but nicotinamide riboside elevates NAD so we can push back on those oxidative stressors, improving health, improving longevity. The other product is Senosync, has fisetin, one of the key molecules to fight off zombie cells, and we've added resveratrol to that, which is a well-known anti-aging antioxidant again. I don't like supplements that have a ton of ingredients. To me, it suggests that none of it's working. When I prescribe a medication, I prescribe that medicine because I expect that to work. That is exactly what I've done with these products. And I want you to go to drdrew.com/vshredmd for 10% off. Again, that is drdrew.com/vshredmd. What's going on with your retirement savings? This should concern all of us. Inflation is not some abstract notion. It quietly erodes purchasing power over time.
Central banks have been buying more gold for the last 4 years than they have in the history. And there's a reason for that. We have a love affair with the dollar and with paper currencies. And most people are just in paper. We're attached. And you know how relationships are. What do you say to a patient when they're locked in a relationship with someone who's obviously doesn't have their best interests at heart, but they stay with it.
Denial. And that's why we suggest Augusta Precious Metals. Their entire approach is very different. There's no pressure. They just give you education and information. Augusta explains how gold or silver IRAs work and how physical metals could fit into your retirement account without tax consequences. And they've operated for over a decade with thousands of clients. They put together a free guide that walks you through everything. It's available now at drdrew.com/gold. You'll get the same educational materials that Augusta gave to Susan and myself. So if inflation worries you, Augusta is a great place to start. Go to drdrew.com/gold. That is drdrew.com/GOLD. Or just text the word Drew to the number 35052. That's 35052 to get that free guide now.
Oh, that's brilliant. And thank you, Drew. Where's Dr. Drew? Where is he? Dr. Drew. Dr. Drew.
And of course, gut health plays a big role in our immune system and even our brain function, possibly certain metabolic health. It's a top priority with our friends at Paleo Valley. They make the grass-fed and finished protein sticks, naturally fermenting them. Feeds your gut with all the good stuff. The sticks are high in protein, low in calories, high in nutrients. Every ingredient is one you'll recognize. Organic. Paleo Valley's versions of higher levels of omega-3 fatty acids than what you'll get in the store-bought beef jerky and that kind of thing. No antibiotics, no hormones, GMOs, seed oils, soy, none of those things. 9 varieties, including pasture-raised chicken and pork. Our favorites are the original beef and venison. If you haven't tried them yet, go to dr.com/paleovalley to get 15% off, and subscription will get you 20% savings. And they have a new, I don't think I have it up here, they have a new protein powder that's a strawberries and cream bedtime protein that made me sleep like crazy. Autumn was in here and she said, don't take it, you will sleep. She was right. I plan to take it again tonight. It's got a little melatonin in it. I know people feel strong about it. It's a very small dose, but intermittent melatonin to me is something I will occasionally do. So, and it's delicious, strawberries and cream. All right, Elaine Culotti is an NPP, California Gubernatorial candidate. She has a lot of background in things like construction and development, and she advocates for practical, guess what, pragmatic solutions. Elaine, welcome back. We can find you. Let me get to the Lipstick Farmer on X, Instagram, and CulottiForCalifornia.com. Elaine, welcome back.
Hi. Thank you for having me. How's it going? Have you been watching what's been happening?
Very well. Yeah, what did you do? What did you do?
I got really upset about the USC debate, and everybody's upset now, and they canceled it. Yes.
And
those little
there were a lot
scammers.
of issues. Yeah.
Oh.
The fact that they moved it from the political science department to the arts department already is like, what in the hell is going on here? That does not belong there, number one. And number two, they didn't allow for a lot of representatives who should have been on the stage, right?
Well, I think what the problem is the Democrats had their own convention and they couldn't pick a candidate. They had like 3,000 Democrats in a room. I can't even imagine what that was like, but they couldn't whittle down their bench. And so they were, in fact, most of the people in the convention, including Katie Porter was there, and I've just had it with the whole Katie Porter thing. She was holding up a sign at the convention that said F Trump, and that was her platform. And Swalwell's platform was Get Trump. So they basically didn't really have a plan. And then it's debate season. The primary is 60 something days away. And what they came up with is we'll do a debate at USC, which colleges host debates. And we can talk about the psychology of that and what that means because it's really important. Young kids are learning about politics and colleges are supposed to host debates, but they're supposed to be bipartisan. And so the Democrats who control California with, more or less around 60% stronghold for the last at least 2 decades, decided they would do this debate differently so that they could whittle down their bench, cull their herd. So they picked who they wanted. They cherry picked them and they made the rules so that the 4 Democrats that they picked would work. And what happened? Wow. So what happened is they cut out all of the minority candidates. And that made it look really bad. They cut out, Betty Yee and Becerro and Antonio Villaraigosa. And they got mad. And so I was sitting back watching the whole thing. And as I'm watching it, I'm like, what am I missing here? Where's the middle? Where's the podium for the independent, voter and independent candidate? And there was none. So they made the whole thing about race. It was a huge mess. And I just got so pissed off. And I called everybody I could call and I emailed everybody. And I said, guys, you can make it about race if you want to have an Ali come free. But we have 31% registered independents. Okay. To be clear, the Republicans only have 25. So how are you want a two-party race? A two-party race is a one-party race. Do you think I'm stupid? And that's what they did. And so now they don't want to talk about it, but that's what they did. That's what they did. And I really feel like they race baited us. It's not about that. It's about getting those independents out of the picture so that they can keep their stronghold. Because the bigger party is in the middle. The bigger party is in the middle. The power is in the middle.
That's what I've always felt. I always wonder why the voting in California always went 60% a certain way. Because when you talk to people in the Californians, they're much more reasonable than the politicians they elect. So I'll ask two questions of you. There's probably long answers. One is, what have you learned digging into what should we call California? It's not a swamp. It's a, what is it? A quicksand, the mud of California. And you're a pragmatist. You're a problem solver. What would you bring? And there just is nothing pragmatic going on in our government. There's no governing. They've switched from governing to representing. They just want to represent. So Karen Bass wants to represent. She goes to Ghana while the city burns down because she's representing. She's not governing. She's representing. And so that's the opposite of pragmatism. So A, what have you learned? And what are you going to do as a pragmatist that get us out of this mess?
Okay, so what have I learned? I thought I was kind of done. I was going to take a break and the fires happened. And what I've learned, the fires taught me a lot. So number one, after it was all over and the smoke was gone, you could see in the Pacific Palisades in Malibu, and I've talked to Adam about this a lot, there was no infrastructure. So the roads are broken, the fire hydrants are broken, there's not fire department turnarounds, there's no water. The fire hydrants are on this tree thing, which is really archaic, which means water can't pump up. All of the reservoirs are depleted and broken, and there's no way to dip in and use fire water. They didn't have enough fire trucks. I mean, I could just go on and on, but what it equals is that we have an infrastructure issue and a resource issue. And being in construction and in big construction, I say to myself, like, well, where are all the resources and where did all the money go? And why are the roads not working? And why is there no water pressure? And it's an infrastructure problem. And so you can go on and on about the fires, but what the fires were to me and what I learned is, wake up, California. They have ripped us off for 3 decades. They have stolen our money. They are walking out of our state with all of our money, and none of it goes back into our beautiful, beautiful, beautiful state. They don't fix the roads. They can't build railroad. They just don't know how to do it. They can't even make the schools better. They don't put the money in the right place. They can't solve homelessness. Instead, they have middlemen. I have learned really, really, really difficult lesson. I have learned that California has to be completely rebooted. And to do it, you've got to take a wrecking ball to Sacramento. You've got to take a wrecking ball to the upper echelon of California. They all got to go. They all got to go. The mayors and the cities are fine. Let me just tell you, if Sacramento would leave them alone, from Mayors Matter, I'm telling you, if Sacramento would leave them alone, stop with unfunded mandates, using NGOs and middlemen and everything to distribute money, we would be fine. Just leave us alone. But no, they get up every morning and they think, how are we going to take every last dollar? How are we going to squash every single dream of every single Californian? That's what they get up and do.
And what are you, how are you going to do this? How are you going to get rid of clear the swamp, those sorts of things? Caladoge.
Well, the first thing I'm going to do first thing I'm going to do is beg everybody that's watching this show and everything you see with me. I need you all to understand that on June 2nd, your choices are over. You have to vote. You have to be engaged. And you have to vote for somebody who you believe in. You can go onto Grok or Chat or Perplexity, and you can put in the name of every single candidate, and you can read their voting record, and you can read what they've done and what they haven't done and how bad they are or how great they are. You have that option. And on June 2nd, it's a jungle primary. So the one with the most votes, let it be me. Please let it be someone like me. Wins the jungle primary. And then now it's me and some big Democrat or some big Republican, just fine. But it's a legitimate candidate. It's not the way that they tried to pull off this SC thing where they're cutting the middle out. You want candidates like me who write their own. I write my own policy, and I've written policy on water and my farmers. I've written policy on how we do debris removal because we dumped it in Calabasas and Sylmar and all through the valley. We didn't think about taking it out on rail and keeping our great, great, great city clean. No. I've written policy on the Great American Credit Union, keeping our money in our state, having independent control over our money. I've written money on pensions. Written policy on pensions. We have a really big problem with theft. And you can see that other people like your previous guest, and of course, Nick Shirley and Doge, we have a huge problem. In, 2017, the Trump administration passed the Tax Act and Jobs Act. And when they did that, they removed this interesting category, which created a really big issue, I think. And it was, good intentions pave the road to hell. So what they did is they said, you can no longer take the same deduction on your tax return by delivering money to charities, charitable donations. A lot of them went away. 37 million households lost this ability. And then $20 billion a year started to go to DC to funnel into all sorts of charities. And that became now almost a trillion dollars. And it became the biggest middleman game, okay, where your money goes from DC and Sacramento, all your tax dollars, into a plethora of middlemen. And what I'd like to do, I'd like to run. I'll get in trouble for this. Do you want me to get in trouble for being a creative governor? I'm going to get in trouble. Here you go. And you guys can quote me on this.
Cause some trouble.
We should run our state like Vegas. Okay. So here's what I'm saying. When you have a big backer, which are our billionaires, you let them back the best poker player and they cover the losses. But I guarantee you, we'll make more money in this state if the billionaires back the best players instead of taxing the billionaires out of the state. And if we have a Great American Credit Union and we create 244,000 new jobs, new businesses, we'll create 2 million employees, and we can do it with the SBA and the billionaires, and they can split the vig. And that's what we should be doing. That means that California gets the profits. It goes through the credit union. We have a dividend paying bank instead of us stealing and robbing and strip mining everybody. And you could easily do it if you're the governor, because all you do is put the money in California. You stop putting the money into private people that are stealing it. It's so easy to do. There's so many things you could do. You work with the mayors. How about we pay mayors in California more than $600 a month? How about we do that? No, we spend it on a homeless group. How about we audit California? Do you realize that if a Democrat gets in, guys, wake up, California. If a Democrat gets in, they'll block any audit. They already blocked the homeless audit. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep. Have you talked to Schwarzenegger?
No, but I love him. I love him. I used to know him back in the day. I love him. He's so smart. He's so likable.
Call him.
Okay, Drew, text me his cell phone number.
Done in Sacramento. Well,
he could be my secret weapon. My very own Terminator. I need him.
I bet he talks. He talks to everybody, and he would tell you about his experience and sort of how difficult it is up there and how frustrating it is up there. It's just terrible. Well, all right. Well, there's a lot to think about. I just hope you or somebody sane gets in and can make a difference. I have a feeling, even if you don't become governor, whoever does will want to use you for some of these ideas, right? I mean, think of all the other positions you could fill up there. I would love you for governor. Don't get me wrong. But we need you and others like you working on this state, as you're saying. It's so far gone, and the road back.
Well, it's possible though. The thing about California is it's possible for me.
Yeah,
sure. Because
if
at
somebody's
the end of the
actually
day,
somebody's governing and not representing, and if somebody is interested in actually restoring the state and managing the finances, I mean, it can go very different. But boy, we are on the precipice here. It seems to me.
the goal is to have debates with everybody on the stage. No debate should be without independence. And everybody should be able to debate at this point. I definitely think it's going to happen because I think USC did a really good thing. And I think USC went NPP. They figured it out. And I think all the colleges, and it's just important that everybody gets a chance. And look, you lose. If you lose on the debate stage, you lost, fair and square. But to block people like me, that's not fair. And and people know it, Republicans and Democrats know it. They know it. I like it. USC canceled after candidates recognized.
Yeah, I appreciate you being. Oh, there was some sound we were supposed to listen to on Steve Hilton. I guess he was on Instagram talking about this very issue. Let's just quickly look at that before we wrap up.
With the TV debate next week is completely ridiculous. You've got a bunch of Democrats that aren't doing well enough to get into the debate complaining about it, and I don't have any time for that at all. Do better, and then you'll get in the debate. Then you've got Matt Mahan, who's a candidate who's just got into the race, absolutely doesn't meet the criteria, but they've rigged the rules in order to get him in as a Democrat. But the big thing I want to say is that Elaine Culotti, who's running as an independent, she's a businesswoman, she's got a big following. There's a lot of independent voters in California. Now, of course, I would love those voters to support my campaign, but the fact that you don't have an independent on that stage, you've got a bunch of Democrats and you've got 2 Republicans, but no independent, that is outrageous. We've got to have proper representation in this debate, including of independent voters, and the independent candidate that's leading this race in that part of the electorate is Elaine Culotti. She should be on that stage next week at USC.
And I hope you thanked him, Elaine, for that.
Oh, I love him. He's great. And he's a good candidate. He's a good candidate.
Yeah.
So he gets it. Like, these guys get it. They know that this is a one party race. That's what they're doing. They're like letting the 2 Republicans get up there because they know that 25% of California is Republican. They know that they've got it like in the bag. And it's not fair. And it's using the energy of these people who are, it's expensive to run. It's hard work. There's so much energy that you need. And it's such a psychology. It's such a, you got to just really stay on 100%. And then they play you. The Democrats, they just think we can do whatever we want. No, you can't. No, you can't.
Elaine, where do you want people to go?
Ooh, CulottiForCalifornia.com or Lipstick Farmer. And Culotti is, as you can see on the screen, CULOTTI, CulottiForCalifornia.com. Please, if you're going to donate $1, it's better to get $1 from 1,000 people than $1,000 from one person. It's all about engagement.
Elaine, thank you for being here. Appreciate it. Good luck.
Thank you. Thank you.
Coming up next, we are going to speak to Dr. Charlie Powell. He has been, amongst other things, a decorated former naval lieutenant commander, a war veteran. He has been a patent holder on multiple medical patents. He's owner and chief medical officer of a major medical system in Texas, and a father of a special needs son named Charlie, who is the inspiration for St. Charlie Resorts. He's going to talk to us about that and his new documentary, Healing Heroes, No Mind Left Behind, after this. More of our audience is taking health and wellness into their own hands, and they're doing it with The Wellness Company. For a discount on the best-selling products and everything on their website for that matter, go to drdrew.com/TWC. The medical emergency kits are among the most popular items. There are 8 different kits, each depending on your individual needs. Inside, you'll find antibiotics, antivirals, antiparasitics, first aid, anti-nauseal, skin treatments, and a kids kit with EpiPen and one for travel. The advantage to having an emergency kit in the house is immediacy. You don't have to run to the urgent care and spend a ton of money for all that infrastructure or wait for the pharmacy to open or try to find a doctor. And then there's Ultimate Spike Detox Supplement with nattokinase, turmeric, and bromelain. It has helped the vaccine injured. And anyone who is concerned about cardiovascular issues caused by lingering spike from the virus or the shots, the Ultimate Spike Detox is for you. One of TWC's top sellers is a topical ivermectin cream. It treats inflammation of the skin, issues like rosacea. The wellness company is always innovating. So go to drdrew.com/TWC to see what they have to offer and get a 10% discount there.
Hey, Dr. Drew here, and we are interested in health and longevity, and the longevity nutrient is Fatty 15, discovered amazingly by a veterinarian who was responsible for the Navy's fleet of dolphins. Turns out dolphins are healthier when they have adequate amounts of pentadecanoic acid, which is C15. It also, for us, it helps humans as well, reduces the oxidative stress on our cell membranes, which is part of the aging process, called ferroptosis. So she takes it, I take it, whole family takes it. And if you'd like some, go to drdrew.com/fatty15 for yours. There are discounts there.
Oh my God, look, Drew, it's a dolphin. Oh my gosh.
Hey, Dr. Drew here, and even when we travel, we bring the new convenient fatty gummies. They're delicious, and they are portable, and they're great. And remember, this is a longevity ingredient. It fights against the oxidative stress on our cell membranes. We call that process ferroptosis, discovered in dolphin research by Dr. Van Watson. And I'm taking this every day, even when I travel. It's Fatty 15. Something our audience knows well is that what's good for our health can also be good for the environment. Paleo Valley makes snacks, drinks, oils, and more that are nutrient-dense, delicious, and impeccably sourced. Co-founder Autumn Smith champions regenerative farming. It's a level beyond organic.
When you go to the grocery store, 90% of the animal products you're going to buy are from factory farms. And we obviously know factory farms work against nature. They work against animal health and in many ways against human health. Regenerative farms work on taking the landscape or the ecosystem from a degraded state, which the environment right now needs a lot of rehabilitation, and we have lower nutrient levels in our soil than ever before. We found that animal products from regenerative systems have nutritional benefits above and beyond other types of animal products.
Paleo Valley's beef sticks and bone broth protein powder are my favorites, and they come from regenerative farms. And the sticks also come in pasture-raised chicken as well.
We actually just went and visited one of our chicken farmers, and we work with a lot of co-ops and people all over the country.
We are such fans of Autumn, her work, and her extraordinary small business. Go to drdrew.com/Paleo Valley for a 15% discount on your first order, or get 20% off when you subscribe. Dr. Powell wants you to follow him at Healing Heroes TV on Instagram and healingheroes.com. Dr. Powell, welcome, and thank you for being here.
Thank you, Dr. Drew. Appreciate it.
So a bunch of stuff I want to hear about. I guess we should start with Healing Heroes, No Mind Left Behind.
Yeah, sounds good. Appreciate it. I was a 16-year veteran. I served in the Army for 4 years as a combat medic with the 1st Gulf War, and transferred over to the Navy as I got a scholarship to medical school, and spent 12 years in the Navy. It was a great career. I really thoroughly enjoyed serving this country. I got out in 2005, moved to Dallas, Texas, where set up getting work for a small practice that over a period of 18 years, built into a healthcare system that I exited from about 4 years ago. In all of that, I silently was dealing with pretty bad PTSD. I was being treated on the side by a multitude of physicians that were absolutely doing the best they could, that they knew for me. Interestingly enough, when I sold my largest company about almost 4 years ago, I was, by all definition, should have had the American dream. And I had everything that you're supposed to work for and work towards. And I was probably in the darkest place of my life at that point. I've been suffering for 16, 17 years on a multitude of medications to keep me going from day to day. But I was highly functional, and a lot of other things sacrificed for it. Interestingly enough, I actually learned about alternate treatments that were available overseas, which I want to be very clear and straightforward. These treatments are not for everybody, nor are they necessary for everybody, but it was for me and a lot of veterans out there that are suffering. The movie became a passion project of mine. I wanted to not just tell my story, which was just one in millions of veterans that suffer from PTSD, but I wanted to show it real time. I wanted to, I basically got 6 of this nation's heroes between first responders and veterans that were suffering from bad PTSD, many of which had had attempts on their own life, and brought them together down to a treatment program in Mexico that we filmed everything real time, from their initial interviews to their treatment and to the follow-up, which we did for a full year after their treatment program.
So I'm aware of a number of, where I guess we're using the word alternative treatments that are flying around out there. What was the sort of conceit of this one?
So it's interesting. This was based on psychedelic medicine, or a lot of people call it plant-based medicine. And I don't know about your training, but mine was certainly that the word psychedelic and medicine didn't deserve to be in the same book, let alone the same word. Yeah. I came across this. I was multi-boarded. I ran a healthcare system. I felt like I was at the leading edge of technology for the most part. But I'm also not very typical. In my 50s, I started a big piece of artwork on my body that I just enjoyed working on. And of all people, it was my tattoo artist that brought up possibly the use of ayahuasca or ibogaine to treat my underlying PTSD. It's funny, you know, we tend to have this stigma around mental health in this country where we don't talk about it. It's something that we don't bring out and about, because then there's something wrong with us. We're labeled. But that guy knew everything about me, right? He knew what I'd been through. He knew what I was suffering with the night terrors and sleep paralysis. That's Skip Martin, by the way, lead singer, cool in the gang, really cool guy, came down to help us with a shoot. But anyway, I learned about it from him, and I really started doing some deep research in the fact that these resources were not readily available to anybody in the U.S., let alone studies to back it. Right. So I put my own research into it, decided, hey, let me step up and go first, and I had great success with it.
Yeah, you know, it's like any other treatment. It has a risk-benefit considerations associated with it. And we really haven't done the right research to fully appreciate the risk-reward just yet. This is true of psilocybins, ibogaine. So, you know, I worked in a psych hospital for decades, and I saw a lot of neurotoxicity from hallucinogens, way more than, it's particularly LSD and mescaline, but also from ibogaine and ayahuasca. And so I've seen it also have some miraculous results, and and of course these are always cases that have tried everything else, right? And so you kind of are willing to take more risk, right? When somebody has failed multiple treatments that might be safer. Right. So I get it. I don't know. I don't quite understand why we don't do more of it here. I've got psychiatric colleagues who swear by particularly psilocybins and sort of the milder hallucinogens being useful in mood disorders and things. I guess with RFK in there, we're going to be doing some of the research. I worry about the excesses. Again, the drug that scares me, as I said, more than any is LSD, the mini dosing and the doing it on your own, and the kind of wild ideas that are out there. And then we just had that guy that's doing all the longevity stuff to do what's that stuff? He smoked 5-methyl, O-methyltransferase or something inhibitor, or DMT, exactly. And everyone's applauding him for doing that. It's like, hey, we're out of control here. You got to be really careful with this. So what should we be doing? What are your recommendations for our system here?
So let me tell you something. My results were miraculous. I went from 5 different medications when I went into this. It was a program centered around not just the medicine, at best, the psychedelic medicine is only about 20% of a program. And people have to understand that, because in Western medicine mentality, we're all around a pill can fix it. But there's so much more around a healing process, as you well know. But I had an amazing process. I mean, look, I'm just going to be straight up and honest. I was on hydrocodone for nearly 15 years from a nerve injury from the war. That I was on antidepressants and Ambien at nighttime to get me to go to sleep at night. There was no way to live. But all most medications went away in one dose. One dose, no withdrawal, no cravings, just came out the other side. Now, at the same time, I'm going to tell you right now, I've seen a lot of great results with this. But I personally have seen some of the worst it can deliver to. I want to be very clear to all your listeners and viewers that I have personally seen this even tear families apart, because if it's administered by providers that don't know what they're doing, not doing appropriate screening, not doing appropriate follow-up, I call it Shaman Jane down the street. If they're seeing somebody that doesn't know what they're doing, you're actually doing more harm. So in my opinion, to answer your question, there needs to be appropriate U.S. studies. There needs to be appropriate regulation, not over-regulation. That just hurts things too. But we have to make sure there's good treatment programs and systems. Right now, there's incredible organizations out there like Heroic Hearts out of New York, the Mission Within out of Tijuana, that are having to bring veterans in and find nonprofit funding because our vets can't afford this. They can't afford to leave the borders of the country they defended to go get a treatment that might actually work. And in so many cases has. That's my take on it.
Let me tell you something interesting I've observed on the opiate front. You said you were on hydrocodone for a long time. A lot of my patients will, out of trying everything, will go down there and do this stuff. The non-addict opiate-dependent patients stop using opiates. The addict, which is a different thing, it's a genetically different thing. The addict, addicted, dependent opiate addicts go back after 6 months in all cases. So it suggests to me that you weren't really an addict, you were dependent on the drug, which is the perfect person to get the effects of this. Yeah.
What's interesting,
it's interesting. It's just something I've observed.
I totally agree. And look, I got some unexpected benefits from this. There's all this neuroproliferative properties of some of these agents they found in ibogaine and psilocybin that, well, for example, the whole thing I was on the pain meds for was a bad neuropathy in my left leg. The Lyrica wasn't enough to cover it, which that stuff may be dumber than I already am. But basically, my neuropathy's gone and it shouldn't be. Or maybe I'm just not sensing it the same way. I can't answer that. But I can tell you that there was enough from it that I wanted to open people's minds. I can't tell you exactly why it's not being looked at here in the States as seriously as it is. Ex-Governor Rick Perry.
It's weird. It will be. I think it will be. Did you, out of curiosity, because I have another theory I've seen over and over again, was your neuropathy part of a complex regional pain syndrome?
It wasn't. In this case, it wasn't. I know where you're going on this. It was, in a sense, I believe I was hyper-focused on it. That, especially at nighttime, when there's no distractions there for it, was probably like burning grease. Yeah. But I can't explain it fully. I don't care to, because all I know is that it made it better for me. But that's not a reason to go after something like this. Look, we're still in that stage where it's like people should be aware of it. They should think about it. It should be, if you've tried everything, you're desperate, this is available. I mean, we've got to do better here in this country. And I know there are psychiatrists using these kinds of things. They're out there doing it, even though it's not fully above board, so to speak. So talk to me about your son a little bit and about the resorts. So I have 3 wonderful kids. My middle child is little Charlie. He has got an unbalanced chromosome translocation 7 to 11. The only kid in the world ever like him. Probably behaves, if anybody wanted to identify with something similar, maybe like moderate to severe autism. His expressive communication is really low. He's got some physical disability as well. But he is, he's taught me a lot more about life than I'm ever going to teach him. It was always hard to travel with him. It was a challenge. We would often get out there and places wouldn't know what to do anything with him. The kids program, the team program, nobody knew what to do with him. So one parent always had to stay behind. So it's a big surprise to see the divorce rate of special needs parents is as high as 80%. They just lack the opportunity to really get that family experience. Siblings often feel left out because so much attention is paid to the special individual who they love just as much. But there's a lot of stresses on these families that, if you think about it, especially in autism, severe autism, and higher debilitating cases, people get up and go to their job every day, and they come home to go to work. They have very little support, very little help. Hell, you have 80-year-old people right now taking care of their 60-year-old special needs adults because there's no place in the system for them to go. I'm not saying I can fix all that, but what we wanted to do and what we have done is created a resort system, St. Charlie Resorts, named after little Charlie. I'm no saint. I'm just the guy that came out of retirement to work for him, and creating a place where special is normal. We have our first site that we're under our final negotiations for to open up in the Mexican Riviera in Mexico, near the Cancun and Playa del Carmen area. And we're looking forward to having 11,000 rooms in Mexico for the special needs, both physical and intellectually disabled, over the next 5 to 7 years.
Wow, congratulations. That's a big deal.
Thank you, sir.
It's a lot.
It is. But at the same time, when I came out the other side of my treatment, and I realized I was not happy in the job I was in anymore. I didn't want to be in corporate America anymore. I felt like I needed to do something with a better legacy, better outcome. And what better things than serve two fragmented populations of people that are just suffering. I mean, I think I read a stat recently in California that 1 in 10 of the veterans there have contemplated suicide in the last year. That's just a staggering number. And
that data.
It's crazy, and what's tough about it is that I'll be honest with you on this. It opened my eyes even more than when I was a healthcare provider as to the mental health crisis we have in our country. And I say something in the I want to bring out now that and make point to. I truly feel like veterans are just canaries in the cage. We are the first that lost community and lost purpose and got fragmented to a point where we didn't have anybody coming to the rescue anymore. I challenge it's coming to the rest of our society if we don't start banding together, coming together under good people like Elaine and people trying to make a difference like you, Dr. Drew. I really appreciate the work you do.
Well, and Charlie, I was going to ask you, I'm sorry, what we should be doing with our healthcare system. It's such a mess. The one thing I've noticed, and you tell me if I'm being overly, old man sitting on the porch, but our physician peers don't have the same spirit that they're doing something important. I think we have to somehow restore that.
We have become data entry specialists. That's what we've become, right? With the EMR system, prior authorizations, pre-approvals. I watched this organization that we built into the healthcare system turn into younger physicians that just come in every day, diagnose, code, follow algorithms. There's no passion in really problem solving in human health anymore. And somebody asked me that question the other day, what would it take to fix the US healthcare system? And I said something so catastrophic, it would put an imbalance to the whole financial system, probably in the US, if not the world, because it's all imbalanced and misappropriated.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I'm glad that you see that lack of passion that I see too, because that was always sort of the engine that drove everything, doing what's right for the patients, dedicated to that. And I don't know what we're doing now. It's very different. I've sort of spent decades trying to defend the physician-patient relationship. I feel like the EMR and the insurance, they just destroyed that. Now I want to get everything right to the patients, which is why I'm interested in what you guys are doing. I mean, you're getting it to patients that need it, and they do it on their own, I assume, or they find resources and advocate for themselves. That's what you have to do now. It's just there's no other way to do it.
You have to. And, there's good systems that are popping up. I've seen a lot of physicians go out on their own and create their own cash-based system because they don't have to deal with the insurance. They can perform, they can practice like they want to, and people are willing to do that. They're willing to get out there and just receive good health care. I believe in that model.
Yeah. Dr. Powell, we appreciate you being here. It is Healthy Heroes TV on Instagram and healthyheroes.com. And that is the documentary. And what if they want to find more about you or the resort?
So healingheroes.com is the back page to our world premiere of the movie, which is tomorrow, which will be on multiple streamers to be announced at the same time. And then stcharlieresorts.com is got great information on the resorts that are coming. Guys, get behind this. We need support to fill these things. We've got the funding. I've been raising tens of millions of dollars to make this happen. All we need you to do is participate, come enjoy, and take your part in life. For everybody that watches the movie Healing Heroes, No Mind Left Behind, this is something in there for everybody. It's just not about veteran care, because PTSD doesn't just wear a uniform. Trauma can be labeled as depression, anxiety. It can hit levels of PTSD, but there's something in there for everybody, not just about plant-based medicine, but about the healing process.
Dr. Powell, we appreciate it. Good luck tomorrow with the premiere.
Thank you, sir.
Cheers. All right. Coming up tomorrow, Caleb, if you'd put the list up there. Stuart Brotman, Jay Dyer. Not just a Rose is going to come in here. Ken McCarthy. We have Naomi Wolf and Massimo Pulici. Uncle Cliff is somebody I found. I just want to get some straightforward answers from him. We have Sean Spicer, Patricia Heaton, Dr. Kelly Victory making it around with us again. She's always a favorite with us. Brandon Straka coming back. Lots of guests, lots of interesting conversation. We hope you will be here. And if you have suggestions, you can send them at contact@drdrew.com. Again, thank you for bearing with my leprosy face today. I appreciate it. Again, Caleb, too, has been suffering with influenza B for 8 days, which it does linger on a little bit. Bad one.
It is the
I'm
worst.
the only healthy one here.
Oh,
Take my fatty 15.
Well, good for you,
my
Susan.
NAD.
I'm at the angry phase of being sick now. I'm like, what is this? Why is it not gone? I got things to do. Come on, get out of my body. And it won't leave.
Envious of people who are well. I get it. I was sick for a long time too, but it's not right. All right, but the skin thing does not bother my stamina and other things, thank God, so I feel fine.
This makes him crabby.
I've been crabby? It makes me crabby, yeah, because I don't sleep all that great, I suppose.
You've been
Yeah,
crabby.
you've been crabby, okay, well, listen, let me look at the streams and things, if there's anything you guys are talking about. Hello from Florida, Aaron, thank you. Emily says don't send suggestions.
When are we going to take calls at the end, Caleb?
Oh, yeah, when are we going to do that?
It's okay, it's not done.
Yeah, we got to do that.
It ready. It's 99% there. I'm the piece that's not there because I don't want to. My brain is like at half power, so I'm shocked that I was able to get the show ready all these times in a row. So I'm
not trying to make you feel guilty. It's
we appreciate you getting through this.
It's gonna happen. I have it all set up. We're going to be ready to take calls. Yes, very excited.
Soon. Yeah. Poppy Golden Sun, it's a little more complicated than that, but again, I'm open to all that talk, and because there's going to be utility on those drugs for sure. Let's see. Yep, current healthcare model is a dinosaur. That is for sure. You were right on that. They are asking you, Susan, to stay healthy, because she does. Don't worry, it happens. It happens automatically.
I'll get sick.
Unemployment numbers rise as fraudulent businesses are exposed.
My face last week and I didn't get it, but she got a double ear infection. It was trauma to the family.
Yes, so she's better today. I don't know if you talked to Douglas, but
Drew says I mentioned it, but I think maybe he was just thinking it.
I just remember you seeing her lie back to get her diaper changed. You went, I don't think she likes lying back. Maybe it's her ears. Your sinus. You said something like that. Anyway, I thought that made perfect sense to me.
I change diapers standing up when they get.
That's right. That's right.
But it was her ears. Thank God it wasn't the fizzy water.
Or the garlic.
We
were all blaming food. And
I got a note that I shouldn't give her sparkling water because she didn't sleep all night.
All right, everybody. Thank you for being here. We will see you tomorrow at 4:00 Pacific time. See you then. Ask Dr. Drew is produced by Caleb Nation and Susan Pinsky. Emily Barsh is our content producer. As a reminder, the discussions here are not a substitute for medical care, diagnosis, or treatment. This show is intended for educational and informational purposes only. I am a licensed physician, but I am not a replacement for your personal doctor, and I am not practicing medicine here. Always remember that our understanding of medicine and science is constantly evolving. Though my opinion is based on the information that is available to me today, some of the contents of this show could be outdated in the future. Be sure to check with trusted resources in case any of the information has been updated since this was published. If you or someone you know is in immediate danger, don't call me, call 911.
If you're feeling hopeless or suicidal, call the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 800-273-8255. You can find more of my recommended organizations and helpful resources at drdrew.com/help.